Welcome to our workshop, Changing Institutions to Better Engage and Involve Youth. Thank you for being here. I'm Jamal El-Kaoni. I'm one of the hosts of this session. We're honestly flattered that we have you here because it gives us the opportunity to share some ideas, stories, experiences on this topic, youth participation in institutions, basically. I kind of feel like a salesman saying this, but this session is brought to you by the Global Youth Action Team for Biodiversity Protection. Yes, absolutely. It's an international youth group of 12 working together with WWF. And let's just say, to shape the decade to come, more on this will be from my dear colleague, Sarah, who you can see here in the blue shirt. She's one of the hosts also, and together with Ashish, maybe Ashish, would you like to point out yourself? Yes, that's Ashish, and above that, that's me. We're the hosts of this session. Again, thank you for being here. During this session, we will be joined by Nathan. He is a WWF staff member from Austria, and from time to time, you might also see Monica. She's here to support and also part of the Giant. Sarah, would you like to start and introduce yourself?
Yes, for sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Sara Constantino. I am from Colombia right now. Sitting in Cali, the city that I was born. We are the city with the most birds diversity that there is in the world. So that is very exciting. And yeah, I'm pleased to be here with you, sharing what we have learned. I'll pass it to Ashish.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashish from India. And yes, it gives me great honor to be part of you among youth that have agreed to be part of this session, and looking forward to have more insights from you and the same. So Jamal, next, up to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I introduced myself rather poorly. I'm Jamal El-Kaoni. As I said, I am also part of the Global Youth Action Team for Biodiversity Protection and part of WWF Germany's Youth Council. I'm living in Germany. Maybe that's it from my side. We try to make this session as accessible as possible so that when you go out here, hopefully you feel empowered enough to start implementing your own concept of youth participation with an institution of your choice. And side note, when we're talking about institutions, we are not solely talking about civil organizations, can be, but this can also be corporations, governmental organizations, whatever you can get your hands on. Now, can we have the slide back with the agenda? Yes. To succeed in this session's mission, we will start with a quick icebreaker. Then we will talk about misconceptions and barriers that you might stumble upon or have already stumbled upon. We'll have a quick break. Then we will showcase some best practices that work for us. Then we will talk about requirements that meaningful youth participation should meet. And last but not least, we will close with some inspiring words and where to go from here. And with that, Sarah, the word is yours.
Okay, so to start, we want to do this activity where we can get to know each other a little bit more. We're going to share a link to a Mentimeter where we can interact a little better, and we can see where we're all standing in front of this amazing topic that we're going to be discussing today. Ashish, are we sharing the link on the chat? Yeah, so there is. There's a link on the chat that you can access. And so to start, you can pin your nationality here, so where you're at right now. or where you were born. Okay, so we have 2 answers by now. Let's see if everybody is able to access. I have 6 answers. So Mexico, United States, Canada, somewhere in Europe. Okay. We're seeing more places appearing. That's amazing. That's why we have all different types of hours right now. This is so cool. So some of us are in Oceania, some others are in Asia, some others are in Africa, some others are in Europe, some others in North America. I don't see participation from South America and Central America, where, well, I'm here representing South America. 18 answers by now. Well, this is very cool. As we were saying at the beginning, we're so happy that we are diverse, that we have the opportunity to join digitally and to hear stories from all around the world to inspire us. I guess 18 will be the number of answers for today. Let's see, let's go to the next question. You fall under which age group? Let's see, how are we today? 18 to 23, 24 to 29, more than 30. Okay, 18 to 23 we're 7 people that are from 18 to 23, 7 people from 24 to 29, and 6 people are more than 30. Nate says all people representing. I don't think
He's happy now.
Yeah, I'll be part of the old group, maybe sooner than later. Yeah, no, I don't think old is a word. But nice. It's cool to see that it's diverse in between, that we're on the younger side, but still we have many age groups today. 22 answers. That's cool to see that you're participating more. So this is an important question for us. So in case that you already as youth have worked together with an institution, it could be an NGO, as Jamal was saying, a civil organization, whatever that you have worked with, which one was it? In case you already did, you can type in, like, write it down. Like, for example, for our case, we have been working with WWF. That will be our answer. One answer. 3 answers. So Climate Change Commission, Youth Strike for Climate, Jane Goodall Institute, Smithsonian, WWF, UNICEF, Greenpeace. Okay, so we have a diversity here. With the church, I see the church is really big, and WWF is big too. You have been working with your university. Yeah, it's still the university and WWF are super big. And maybe the ones that have no answer. So if you haven't worked already with an institution, could you type in there no, so we can also see? Okay. I see GEF, UNICEF, Smithsonian, Sustainable Schools. I see a little no. We already got 17 answers. And the no is still small. So most of us have already collaborated with institutions. That is very nice. So we can, of course, learn from your perspective too. We want to share today what these experiences have been for us. And knowing that most of us have already participated, that is going to be very amazing, especially for our next question. And we've got 22 answers. Can we go to the next question, please? Okay. How successful do you think your collaboration was with these organizations that you just told us? From 1 to 10, 1 being not successful and 10 being totally worked out. Yeah, depends on the institution we collaborated with. Yeah, that's very important to note. Should we get...
It doesn't work for me in the Menti.
We just put it in the chat.
Yes.
Maybe
Let's do this.
put it in the chat. You can write it, yeah, here in the chat. 8, 9, 8, 8, 6, 9, 8, 8. Yeah, wow, this has been super successful collaborations. That's great to hear. 7, 4. There's a 4, a 9, and 8. Okay, so I see that it has been mostly good experiences. I think that it's amazing. We do have a 4 from Veronica. Yeah, I share your that at sometimes it might be not as easy.
And you can already start thinking about why you chose this number. Why did you choose the 8 or the 9 or the 4? This will be important for the whole session, the reasons for the youth involvement.
Thank you, Monica. Yeah, that is super important. So thank you so much for sharing that number. Yeah, as Monica said it perfectly. Why is that number the one that you chose to type? So that would lead us to our next question. And that would be on the Menti again. Are you still there? Yes, so that would be, why do you think participations of us youth in institutions is crucial? You can answer shortly. I see some answers popping already. Okay, so I see diversity, I see creative new thinking, I see we are the future, we are the future again, molds political will, rights of youth, change ineffective systems, we're critical thinkers, we have a bigger impact, we are the future because of our creativity. Okay, so these are the answers that are coming all from you, and we share your answers. So we believe that these are reasons that why it's crucial that we as youth participate in institutions. We are for sure very driven. We do believe that there is a systematic approach that we have to have towards environment, towards culture, towards social issues, and we do see it like that. We are already pushing a lot so we can have a bigger impact, so we can have a bigger change, a bigger commitment. And that is why we think youth participations, it's crucial. In institutions, it's crucial. As you already said, we are the future, and we are the ones that are really seeing what is going to be happening if we don't change. We used to say that we were going to be the ones suffering the impact of the others, but of course, everybody is suffering the impacts already. Some people more than others, and that is why we see that we need a systematic change. So yeah, I think these are amazing answers. And yeah, this is very, very important for today. So we're very happy that we are aligned and that we think alike. This is in the center of everything that we want to share today. We see, I saw new answers. I'm going to share them just to have more diversity here. So it says lateral thinking, new views, sustainability of actions, longer term view, making our mark on the future now, less impacted by existing bias, and are sometimes able to dream bigger for it, unafraid to try new things, and intergenerational communication. I love these answers. I think you already said it in the best way possible. Yeah, I'm very happy that we come together today because for sure we're like-minded youth. I'll pass it to Jamal.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, Sarah. Now, in order to get things started, we would like you to go into breakout rooms now. I need the slide for the, yes, exactly. I would like you to go into breakout rooms right now. These are breakout rooms of 5 for all in all 10 minutes and discuss exactly these questions here. What barriers did you encounter when working together with an institution as a youth? And how did you try to solve these issues you were facing, and how did it all turn out? Please feel free to discuss these questions on all levels that you can think of. The purpose being is that you yourself begin to reflect on these and have this kind of important exchange with others and see what have they experienced, where are the similarities. I think that's good to get this started as a thinking process. Monica, I think you will.
Yes, in case we do not have questions outside in breakout rooms, you already find the answers in the chat. So yeah, read them through again and then have a good time for about 10 minutes in your breakout room. See you back.
Do drop in your thoughts in the Google document shared in the chat box, guys. Yeah.
Sure. You can pick a facilitator in your breakout room. Ashish, someone says it's restricted access to the Google document, so maybe you can just make the others get access. And
just a side note, you can use the Google document. You don't have to. If it's easier for you to not to, don't. It's just an offer from us.
Cool. Good. And
it would be good if you in your smaller group pick up facilitator or someone that is going to type your answer, so at least a summary of what you're discussing, so we can after that share it here.
I have reshared the link for everyone's convenience, and Mimi, I have also shared the document to you personally as well.
So
see you in a little.
Cool. See you.
Have fun. I see people that haven't been able to join.
Yeah, I mean, they are all invited to join. So Claudia, Hü Xin, Jin Kang, Cheryl, and Rujin, you can enter your breakout rooms. Cheryl, are you with us? Yes. Okay, Claudia joined. So Cheryl, can you hear us?
Well, here just have if they have any problem. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So sorry for being late today because like it's a little bit in different time zone, so that's why I make a wrong calculate. Yes.
All
Okay.
fine.
Thanks. If they have any problem, they drop in the chat, so I go to help them. Thanks. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
So we do. Okay. So Sarah, you would be in breakout room 4, but I just deleted this one because there is no participants in there.
Oh, okay, okay.
So in case you want to join a breakout room, let me know. I'll do that for you.
You sent Jamal and Ashish, right? I
So
said like
in
I
the
can't.
in the first room it's Nate. In the second it's Ashish. In the fifth it's Jamal. So you could join the third, and then you can be there with the others. So
But it says again that there is limited access to the document.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you do not have to use the document. So it's also good.
Yeah. Yeah, because it says no access.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to join the breakout room.
Cool.
I want to copy the answers. Will they still be on the chat? No.
The questions, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, the question.
I can also send the questions again.
Okay,
I can just copy them so you have them, and then I can send again.
I don't see them. I had written them down here in the chat.
So here they are.
Okay. See you later.
See you. Hello, Patrick. Do you want to join a session?
Yes, I will.
Sure. So I'll let you know. I'll let you join one. So Patrick, second room. And Paul, you can also join a breakout session in room 3. Claudia. Hello, Claudia. Claudia, you can share in the chat whether you want to join a breakout room or not. I cannot hear you in case you're talking. Ilad? Hello, welcome. Can you hear us? Ilad Vivas?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear
Hello. You can join a
Hi.
breakout room. Do you want to? Do you want to
you. No, I just got in.
Okay. Okay. So just stay with me in the main room and the others will come back in a couple of minutes.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll share in the chat which questions the others talk about currently in the breakout rooms. So if you want, you can also think about them. Vanya, hello. Vanya, can you hear me?
Hi, hello.
Hello. Vanya, welcome to our session. The others are currently in breakout rooms, but they will come back in a couple of minutes. So just stay with me in the main room and we wait for the others to come back.
Okay,
And-
because I am not going to participate, I'm taking notes about the event.
Okay. So this is the questions on the chat. You can see the questions the others are talking about. And Vanya, do you need our agenda for today?
Yes, please, but I can see the agenda in Cuba,
Okay.
so I believe it's okay.
So I just send it to you in the again in a personal chat.
Okay, thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
great.
Thanks for taking notes.
Don't worry.
Cool. So Catalina also joined us right now. Catalina, just for your information, the others currently are in breakout rooms and will be back in a second. So just stay with us in this main room and don't worry, the others will come back. So 2 more minutes, then they come back. Which countries are you from, guys? Waiting for the others, we can chat a bit. Vanya, where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Peru.
Peru, cool. Sarah, one of our facilitators, is from Colombia, and she was looking for others from South America. So
Oh,
cool.
really?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I saw another workshops with Peruvians and Colombians, Ecuadorians.
Cool. And Chin, our tech volunteer, are you, like, where are you from?
I am from Cambodia.
Oh, Cambodia.
So
Cool.
yes, it's kind of like 8:30 p.m. here, but that's what it's gonna be better than the 1 a.m. And I've been a tech volunteer for other sections like 1 a.m. in the morning till
Really?
6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's why I made a wrong calculate for these sections. Like
Oh
so
no.
yeah.
Okay. So I'll get the others back from the sessions in a second. Okay, 60 seconds. Okay. Perfect. Ilat, where are you from? Ilat, are you still with us?
Where's Carly now?
Yes.
I don't know where she is, but a couple of days ago she called and asked if I could help someone who don't know.
Cool. So Christine, welcome to our session. The others are just coming back from breakout rooms, and then we will be more again. So Ilat, we did not hear where you are from.
Can you come again? I didn't quite catch you there.
I just asked where you were from, like which country.
I'm from Venezuela. I'm from Caracas, Venezuela.
Cool. Sarah, by now we found more South Americans. They all joined me in the main room. Yeah, that's fun because I guess all the Europeans were on time and the South Americans joined half an hour late, you know?
At the beginning, yeah, at the beginning where we were waiting for the people to come in, everybody was saying like, let's start now. And I was like saying, we can start in 2 minutes. It's fine. Let's leave more space for people to join.
It's the coffee drinking time. Come on, go get your coffee, hang out, find out how your mom's doing, what your brother up to.
We're waking up. Here, I have my coffee.
There you go. Europeans are like, come on, Let's go. Let's go.
Well, our breakout room was amazing.
Cool. Good to hear. Jamal, do you want to continue talking about the topic?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Can I have my slide, the opening? No, the Ashish, do your job. You know, no, you know which slide I mean. Yeah, I hope you had an interesting chat. Learned something new, some inspiring acquaintances. Hope no one's fallen in love because we are just getting started. We would also like to share some thoughts on this. I'm going to do a little talking here, just so that you're prepared. First off, on rooted barriers, let's just call them this way. Just to get things started, or to kickstart. We are all human, so that means our dreams, our worries, our thoughts, are all equal in worth. They are equally worthy to be listened to be precise. And on that note, political and democratic legitimacy does not begin with the age of voting, the age of consent, the age of majority, or for whatever reason when I sent out my first job application. When there is will to introduce relevant change to the status quo that surrounds me, this is already fundamentally political. That's neither good nor is it bad, but it starts once I am first capable of perceiving my surroundings, and I'd say that it ends once I take my last breath. And I think that's something beautiful. However, that's not the way the political space in which we live and advocate works. Political influence is not distributed by the fact that we are all equal by nature. It's not the way it has been trained. Let's just put it this way. Sometimes I feel like it's helpful to look at the past here, because wait just a second. Can you still hear me? Am I still? Yes, connection is there. Where was I? Sometimes I feel like it's helpful to have a look at the past here, because the story of youth in politics in a visual sense that we are maybe kind of used to today, introducing societal change in a frequent way that we might be used to today, is not really a long one. Neither is, just by the way, the story of laws protecting the rights of youth and in particular children. Maybe that could be interesting. Maybe just ask your parents how youth and children were treated and perceived when they were young. That's a whole different story, but very interesting to hear. And even though in the last couple of years, I think a lot of progress could be seen in regards to the introduction and the appreciation of youth voices on important topics, this is still very much out there, really etched into the back of people's minds. The youth is either incapable, incompetent, it lacks experience, stamina, or whatever you can come up with. It's really a colorful repertoire of things you can choose from here. And I want to stress that this is not about the actual process of growing up, of personal development. It's not about what one is in reality capable and not capable of doing. That's part of life, and that's actually something very helpful to know about yourself throughout all ages. No, this is about that under this general and almighty premise, every attempt of integrative decision-making and youth advocacy will, no matter what, inevitably conclude to that it is not worthy to be listened to, but rather to be reduced to being decided upon in really every aspect of their own, but in particular social life. And if you ask me, that's ageism at its finest. And mind you, youth does not have a big lobby in order to change this, in order to gain influence and be included in important decision making. I think part of the reason being that a lobby needs some kind of leverage, and leverage itself is often dependent on some form of influence. kind of a dead end. Oh, that is, yes. What I was saying, so progress here is inherently slow because there are a lot of things to get rid of, and there are a lot of things to rethink about intergenerational togetherness. Still feasible, but thick concrete, and that's what I would like us to keep in mind. Now, there are also other kinds of barriers, the more practical kind of barriers. Next slide. Yes, exactly. These are the kinds of barriers that will damage or at worst tear apart your efforts of strengthening the role of youth in an institutional setting once you've started working together with an institution. Imagine institution so-and-so, now that's a plane, I'm very sorry. Imagine institution so-and-so says they recognize their impact on society and they want to be more inclusive and recognizing towards youth. They develop a concept and you say you're in, but then it all starts. The youth that they include in this are, let's say, very homogeneous and are not representative at all. And look at that. The thing that eats up the most amount of time is to make sure that everything is captured on camera because everyone needs to know. In reality, you are put off with little crumbles, no way to influence the happenings within and beyond the institution at all. For long periods of time, there will be basically nothing happening at all. And your anchoring within the institution is but a whisper in the wind. That's one scenario. And I call this one death by definition, because you are not going to make a difference no matter how you turn, so get out there. Now imagine the same setting, but from the beginning on, you are met with a harsh tone. You're not welcome. Mistakes, and they will occur, are generally met with anger or judgment. People are claiming high standards, but you and your fellows are not getting the resources to keep up. For example, skill sharing on various soft skills. It's hard to get anything from anyone. For example, information, material, and the times are so unsuitable and inflexible that it is impossible to establish any kind of presence. This is death by murder. And now then there's another scenario. Imagine in your team of fellows, of youth, everyone is unreliable. There are hardly any committed responsibilities. At some point, you are losing track of what you're actually doing there. No long-term planning whatsoever. When something goes wrong, everyone starts panicking. You fail to evaluate the situation, and you're doing the same mistakes over and over again. It's like sanity. And secretly, everyone just wants to shine the brightest. Now, this beauty I call, I've thought about this for a long time, and I've decided upon eating 1 kilogram, or death by eating 1 kilogram of chalk because no one was watching you for once. And mind you, you can very much die from eating chalk, murder, and by definition at the same time with just a little bit of luck. Now that's that. We have, up until this point, talked about the necessity of youth participation in institutions. We've talked about and thought about misconceptions and barriers that you might stumble upon. So maybe more the negative side of things. Now we've reached a quick break. Maybe next slide. Yes, a break slide. And after the break, we will showcase some best practices, have some more speakers. We will talk about requirements and where to go from here. So get something to drink, pick your nose. I really don't care. Just be back here in 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
jump street, 2 feet creep up the road. To photo, to record me lumps in war. Their ancestors is just so very yellow white flash. A violent red Christmas with slight tails lift like grass. But so high from the leak avalanche, mine is a watery pit. Painless with immense distance from medic, from colleague, friend, enemy, foe. In 5 yards from his leg, from Utah Road. Do not spray into eyes. I have sprayed you into my eyes. Last rattle, last chokes. Oh, collars and cares, glazed to grey, shriveled and stricken to dots. The left hand grasp, but the body grasp not. The photographic more. 3.1415 alive, no longer my amour. Faded for home, here 54. Doors open like arms, my love. Painless with a great closeness. To Kappa, dark up to nothing, reunited with his head and with Utah Road. Utah I have sprayed you into my eyes.
Sarah, I was just asking for the name of your cat.
The cat, Her name is Trinidad, which means the Trinity, because she has 3 legs.
Did she lose one, or
She lost
was
one.
it? Or was she born? Was she born that way, or did she lose one?
We found her with a. She had like a terrible accident.
Oh.
So her leg was really bad. So we thought that she had to being put to sleep, but she just got her leg chopped out. But she's great. She doesn't know that she's missing a leg.
That's great.
Wonderful.
Yes.
We are done with our break. Let me just.
Are you there? Yeah.
Now that was the break gong. We are going on with the workshop, and we are now facing the agenda point best practices. And without further ado, I will hand over the word to Sarah.
Great. Guys, if you already came back from your break, can you send a little something so we know that you're there, since we cannot see your cameras, please? And yeah, I'm going to start.
You can also switch on your cameras to show you're here as you want.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm here. Okay, so let's start, because some of us are already here. Ashish, can you please kindly have the other slide? I'm going to present the best practices, and for that, I want to share the inspiring story, the one of the first one, the other one, the one with, that one. And to start, I would love to share our inspiring story of who the Global Youth Action Team is and what brought us here. So we are a group of 12 very committed youth, and of course some other WWF members helping us stay together, and that will be the role of Nate, because we love him so much. But yeah, the GYAT is 12 youth from around the globe. We're representing, in a way, youth from all around the world. So there's 3 of us that come from the Americas, 3 of us from Europe, 3 of us from Africa, and 3 of us from Asia and Oceania. I don't know how to say it in English. Yeah. But yeah, this is us. We've been together for more than a year. We love to be together. We love to interact. We're dreaming of the day that we will come together and meet each other in person, because we've only met through digital meetings. But we have accomplished so much, and I want to share with you some of the things that we have accomplished. So maybe you can get inspired, and afterwards you can share a little of what you have accomplished too. We can go to the next slide, please. So, for example, one of the coolest things that we do, and one of the things that we love the most to do, is to do trainings, to facilitate trainings for other youth. We've already done more than 3 different trainings, and they have all been international. So we invite youth from all our different networks. We facilitate trainings. This is one of them. For example, we did one that was called the Stand Up for Nature training, and it was focused on global youth advocacy. And one of the coolest things that happened here was that the training, so we facilitated the training for more than 100 youth. And then the commitment to receiving that training was that you had to also create that same training or replicate the same training for either your country or your region. So this effort that we did once was spreaded and amplified by more youth. So for example, the training was replicated in Spanish for Latin countries. The training was replicated in Nepal for people for Nepalese. The people was replicated. So it got replicated in different levels, either countries or regions, and that was amazing. This is one of the examples that the things that we have done very amazingly. And yeah, it's very inspiring to see how you can impact many people, and these people are also getting empowered by the information that we're sharing. We can go to the next slide, please. We also participated on the Youth Manifesto. This is an amazing and super comprehensive form or text written by youth and powered by other organizations. But it's like the most comprehensive paper that has been written. And the goal of this manifesto is to be showcased to leaders, representing, of course, this would be the representation of what youth wants. If you haven't seen the manifesto, I would really encourage you to do it. It's amazing, and it was written purely by youth. And more than 50% of the youth that wrote this manifesto was from the Global South, or is from the Global South. So that is very amazing too, because we're taking it, there was taken into account many different points of view. And yeah, we want this to be something really, really big. So I really would like you to see it. And if you can share it, please share it and sign it. And yeah, interact with it, because it's a very nice and important piece of information. We can go to the next slide, please. Another very cool thing that we have done is that we have impacted WWF leaders. We have seen that with our participation and with our interaction, there have been some of the WWF offices that have started for the first time their youth programs. And we have come to interact with Marco Lambertini, which is the WWF global leader. And I want to share with you 30 seconds of this video so that you can get inspired as we were when we saw this. Just a very few part of the video because it's long.
This is Marco Lambertini. I am the Director General, WWF International, and it's fantastic to see so many of you joining this Standing Up for Nature advocacy training. Young people has been always at the center of change in society. But since I was a young person myself, years back, standing up for nature, many things have changed. The first one is that science has never been clearer, awareness has never been greater, and today there's a much higher number of people that have concerns about nature loss and are committed to nature conservation. Secondly, the future is now. It's not anymore, these issues are not anymore projected into the far future. Extinction, climate change, forest fires, coral bleaching, it's all happening now.
Thank you. So yeah, this was to show you that we actually have access to him and that we have interacted with him. So we do really feel that we are changing the institutions from the inside, and that we have been given the opportunity to speak our minds. And I want to share how we have done this to keep an international group together for so long, doing the things that we have done. Can we go to the next slide, please? So how we actually managed to do it is that we have periodic group meetings. So we see each other every 2 weeks just to interact, to see how everything's going, because that is a very important part of our interaction, is that we still like share things that are not only related to what we're doing as a group, but we like to know what are everybody's hobbies. We like to do like these activities that are only community building activities. For that, Monica is amazing. And they already gave a training around this, because that is one of the most important things of our relationship. And we still have smaller action meetings, which means that we would meet periodically too, depending on what we have on our plate, with the smaller groups, so that we can get our tasks done and that we can get really like aligned on the same goal. We have also constant communication. So we have a Slack group, we have a WhatsApp group, and we're sharing there things. We're communicating through there. We're reminding each other things through there. And a very important one that was one lesson learned that we implemented this year. We have quarterly goal setting. That is huge for us because that is what keeps us motivated and looking towards the same place. This is very important to review, to really like, so we accomplished something. For example, we already did this training, check. Now we need another goal so that we can still walk forward. That is my biggest recommendations for how we do it. And on the next slide, I want to share some of the barriers that we have encountered and how we can, or the things that we can do better. So something that we've come to is that keeping the motivation and the engagement is something that it's not easy. And of course, it needs your individual commitment there, but there can be activities done so that as a community you keep engaged and you keep together. That is something that you would have to take into account and remember to do. As I was saying already, something that we solved with the quarterly goal setting is to have clear goals. So when there have been moments when we don't have these very specific goals, but like just general things that we want to accomplish. If you don't have these clear goals, then you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you're walking to. So that is very important for you to keep in mind. And what we can do better is changing big institutions, because even though we know we've had a very big impact, there is a lot to be done still. And we have impacted WWF, but there are so many other places that we would like to have big impact. And for this, we've seen through our trainings, for example, that there are some countries, for example, that it's easier to make change. So I am from Colombia, and I know that people from the Global South face problems like this. And for us, it's not very easy to impact our governments, for example, and talk to our leaders in comparison to the Global North, if that is a term to be used. So yeah, these are the things that we can do better. I hope you have find them inspiring. And later on, we'll tell you how we can keep on connecting. So yeah, we keep on doing amazing things, and you can keep on joining our trainings. I will pass it on to Nate.
All right. So is everybody okay to keep going? You want to have a quick stand up? As we talked about, we had a workshop or a training called Stand Up for Nature. So maybe you just need to like stand up where you are, just shake it out a little bit, get some blood flowing in your legs and your arms. Yeah. Because I know standing or just watching, although these are super interesting presentations, it can just, be good to get a little bit of flexibility going. So, all right. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be here with you. I have also a little presentation that I'd like to share with you guys. So yeah, we're going to focus on this question of, they asked me to come and maybe talk about, can young people really actually change an institution? And we've heard obviously that there are quite a lot of barriers, but also some ways that you can structure yourself or get active, and what are things that have worked. Interestingly enough, I chose this picture because we had a European Youth Summit here in Austria in 2017. So we had youth from Finland, Sweden, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and I think also from Ukraine, and also had someone from Hong Kong. And in this picture, they are actually signing what was called the Declaration of Almtal. And it was a message from young people to WWF leadership, asking for basically just what we're talking about. So how can young people have more of a say and be more involved in decision making? And interestingly enough, we'll talk about it, but a lot of the recommendations that they came up with have been put into place. So just really quick, I want to go through a couple of things. I don't want to tell you very much about my background, but yeah, this is what I did before I came to Austria. So in 2005, I came over here, and 2009, I started working for WWF, and we launched Generation Earth a year later. And although my work focuses a lot on here in Austria, I'm also very much working at the European level and at the global level. And one of the things that you guys can see down here is obviously there's the GYAT, but it's also connected to our Global Youth Task Force and our global strategy. So that's me in just a nutshell. One thing I do want to point out is when I was in Alaska before I came to Austria, it was one of the places where I first saw the impacts and importance of youth empowerment. And it was by volunteering with a group of young people called Alaska Youth for Environmental Action. Yeah, so just go on. So we have a little bit of a Mentimeter prepared. Ashish, I think we're going to start off, and I'll just tell you the questions right now. We want you're going to be asked to find out how many offices are there worldwide. And then we're going to ask you how many of those offices do you think are actually working with youth? And then the third question, I'm not going to show you. It's going to be a surprise. So Ashish, if you want to, yeah, share your screen. Okay.
Do you want us to find that out on the internet, or should we just guess?
No, just guess. At this time, just
okay.
guess, make your best estimate. And we're going to give you a couple of answers actually that you can choose from. It's going to be a multiple choice. Cool. All right, so everybody should be on. Got the code? All right. So you go to menti.com and then enter this code 50909598. And Ashish, do we have the options for them to choose from? Or they'll see it when they got 8 people on, that's great. So go ahead and guess which number you think. Okay, ooh, the time's up. This is gonna be a quick one, great. All right, so we have a guess of 5. Okay, so the answers came in quickly. There we go. We saw someone said 5, someone said 20, 80, 50, 56, 78, 80, 415. The correct answer is about 100, right? All right, so interestingly, let's go to the next question. And that is, how many of those offices do you think are actually working with youth? And in youth, we use the definition of, say, 15 to 35 years old. So how many people think there's 5 offices, 10 offices, 25 offices, or 40 offices? All right. Got about 15 people answering. This is awesome. Let's see if we can break the magic number of 20. Can we get 5 more people to vote in? All right. Go to vote. Make yourself an active citizen. Come on. All right, but we can stick with 15. And the answer is, thank you, Jamal, for voting. Do we have the answer in there?
I didn't put an answer to this, so you can just check it out.
So we actually just did a survey of WF offices, and we asked them who's working with youth, how long have they been working with youth, what kind of things are they doing with young people? And we found that over 40 offices actually have youth programs. Now, that means that they can be very, very different. You know, for example, in the Ukraine, their program is mainly getting youth to support national parks, whereas in Sweden, they have a program that's focused more on communications and you know, influencing and also very much into diversity. In the US or Canada, they have different programs, in India, in Pakistan, and all throughout Africa. So these programs look very different, but there are a lot of programs that are working with youth, which is great. Okay, and our last question for you is, ta-da, okay, what do you think? Can youth actually change a global institution like WWF? And your answers are yes, no, and maybe. So go ahead and vote. All right. Oh, we don't even have, we don't have the multiple choice. It's you put in there what you think. Oh, we've got a lot of yeses coming in. Oh, we've got a maybe coming in. Oh, we got some yeses and some maybes and difficult and a yes. Especially with proactive boards. Okay, great. Now, can we scroll down a little bit and see some other answers? There we go. If the institution supports their efforts. Yes, they can, but depending on the leadership. Good. So we're getting some yeses, but nuances there, which is of course true. Okay, thanks Ashish for that. And I'll just come back to my slides now. So yeah, what I'd like to do is I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey. And we're going to start here in Austria. And then we're going to move up to the European level. And then we're going to look at the global level. So these are 3 stories about youth involvement in WF. So, but what I want you to do is, as you're listening to these stories, I want you to think carefully about what do you think are these key ingredients to make this possible, all right? So I want you to have an active role in doing this. So figure out, what do you think are these key ingredients? Okay, so let's start here at home. So again, as I mentioned, in 2009, I started doing some work with WF. And when I came here, I realized that in Austria, there was really nothing there were no programs that were reaching out to youth over the ages of 15 or so. So they were doing stuff with schools, they were doing summer camps, but when it came to actually talking about and working with youth, there was like, oh my God, we don't know what happens after 15. They turn into like animals and they start to think for themselves and you can't control them anymore. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's why you don't have a youth program, I guess. So we started by actually going out with a simple call to action. We said, hey, we're looking for young people who want to start this youth program. And amazingly, 7 youth from across Austria said yes, they'd like to come. And we realized that from the very beginning, and I used this from the approach that they were doing in Alaska, is that it needed to be bottom up. So we really sat together. We didn't come up, together we came up with the name, together we came up with the vision, we came up with the mission together, we came up with our values. Everything was really from sitting together with these young people and listening deeply to them about what they wanted to do. So it still led to some internal sort of friction, I would say. From the WF side, it was kind of this, well, can we really trust these young people? But from the youth side too, it was like, well, can we really trust WWF? So it wasn't that it happened all perfectly. There were some bumps in the road for sure. And what we were able to do over those last 10 years is to really establish kind of the precedent of how we want to work with young people and get away from this idea that WF comes in and tells these youth, okay, this is what you're going to do. This is what you have to think. This is what you're going to be working on with us or for us. Yeah. It came the complete opposite way, as we said. In our trainings, the youth come together. We don't have a training program until we sit together with that group of youth for the first day. And we say, okay, what do you guys need? What do you want to learn? And from that, we create the training program. Later on, we established, you can see in that first photo, is what we call the Generation Earth Steering Committee. And actually, Monica is one of the members on there. We have right now 4 youth, and it may change. We're looking at some different options. But here you can see them sitting together with the CEO of Austria, the head of conservation, the head of politics, the head of communication. And this is a way that they can at least once or twice a year really have these face-to-face dialogue and discussions with them. As we heard from Sarah, this is also a thing where the steering committee also sets out a yearly work plan. They say, these are the things we want to achieve. This is what we want to do. And we're trying to, as I said, make this more inclusive and bring more Generation Earth members into this process. But you can also see from these other photos that, well, we have this very bottom-up approach. Is in the first photo, this was a project entirely led by youth, but they combined it with a WF campaign. And in others, it can also be that WF has a campaign and they reach out to youth and say, hey, we'd like to work with you guys. What do you want to do? So that's a different question than saying, hey guys, this is our campaign and this is what you have to do, to what do you want to do? And so you really bring young people into this process and have them co-create things. So I'd say that, you know, it's maybe not all the time, but I'd say that we have much more of a consensus around this idea that saying, yes, we can trust them. Okay, so now I'm going to take you up to the European level. And about 2018, we started working on a big European grant. It was called Eat for Change, or it is called Eat for Change. We had 13 partners, so mainly WF offices, also including 2 from Latin America. So working with Brazil and Argentina, as well as ISIC, which is the largest youth-run organization. And at that time, there were 3 offices that had youth programs, and there were 9 offices that didn't have youth programs. And we applied for about 11 million euros. And the focus was on climate protection, sustainable diets, behavior change, political and market change. And the cool thing was that youth were at the center. And they were at the center because the EU said, youth have to be center of this project. So you couldn't just come in with a project proposal that didn't have anything to do with youth. You had to make sure that youth were deeply involved in the decision-making and at all stakes of this. So in 2020, we started, and we saw that it was the first time that a lot of these countries ever had not just the chance, but even got sort of, let's say, even the pressure to start working with youth. So in Estonia, in Belgium, in the UK, in Portugal, Greece, France, EU Policy Office in Brussels, they were almost like, I would say, forced, or again, through this project, they were encouraged to include youth into various decision-making processes and to start youth programs, which was great. And we also, like you heard with the GYT, we started what's called the Eat for Change International Youth Team. And these guys are involved at the highest level. They're meeting, for example, with our campaigners. They're discussing, for example, when we tried to decide a company that would be working with us on the graphic designing, they were sitting there making the decisions with us. And just a couple weeks ago, they organized what was called the virtual kickoff. They had youth from across Europe. They did 20 online sessions. They did 30-day challenges. So again, this isn't something that we prepared for them. They were sitting together with us and co-creating this along the way. And coming up, they're going to be getting involved in developing political leadership with our Brussels office, as well as organizing a youth summit in Brussels on political engagement. So that's second story. And our third story is something you've kind of already heard about, but in 2020, I think you guys heard that it was supposed to be the super year. Why was it going to be the super year? Because there are going to be all these great conferences like IUCN, the World Conference on Conservation, COP15, COP26, and. Well, WF came up with this idea working with partners that we need to make a quote unquote new deal for nature and people, which is basically a way to influence these to push the nature agenda. And alongside of that, we said, okay, can we bring youth into this process? And that's where the GYAT idea came from. So we had one GYAT before that was focused on plastics, and here was the next one. So we said, we want to get these guys front and center into the whole decision-making process and discussing these with the high-level WF people. So when you look at this, it's, I think, easy to say that it's supported by WF, but it's also independent. So we don't control the GYAT, but we provide them opportunities and resources and ways to get active. And as we know, it turned out that the super year was not so super. In fact, a lot of these things got canceled or postponed. But what I see happened was we put youth on the radar screen. So we connected them to high-level WF staff. So connected to the policy staff, connected to the communication staff, to the education staff, and. And I think through this process, we've been able to make really strong impressions on WF leadership and staff. So I think that's one of the key things. Like we heard, Marco is aware of this. We've actually incorporated them into the big CEO meetings. So CEOs had one-on-one opportunities to discuss ideas with youth. And through this, we're able to serve as role models and positive examples for other programs. So while this GYT is focused on biodiversity, we've been contacted by the Climate and Energy Group and said, hey, we also would like to create a GYT around the topic of climate. So this is also having wider effects than just this group. And as we see that it can really also complement what WF is already doing. So making it a lot more real and also a lot more effective at reaching out to young people. And we're also seeing that through this, we're able to build really strong global communities of young people and also strong partnerships with different youth organizations. So where does 2021 take us? Well, one is, I think that through the work with the GYT, they've set an extremely high bar for how we need to involve youth. Oops, my thing is getting in the way. Let's see, maybe you see that there. It opens the door for future GYATs, as I mentioned. It also creates these new opportunities for partnerships and creates a really strong global community of active youth. So now I come back to you guys. In the chat, if you could, write down, what do you think are some of the key ingredients? Yeah, the key ingredients for making this effective. So to making sure that youth are involved and engaged.
And Nate, we just got a question in the chat for you. It is how were the representatives from GYT chosen?
Sure. Do you want to answer that?
I guess you can go on for it.
Okay. So as you guys are writing out your ideas for what are the important ingredients to ensuring that youth are involved in these institutions, also to shape and change them, I'll just answer real quick. So we did an internal call for proposals for nominations. And so youth were nominated from around the network. And then we had a mixture of WF staff and youth representatives that selected the 10 or the 12 people that joined the GYT. So it was a quote unquote open and closed process. So the youth that were part of this should have had some connection to WWF in the past. If that answers your question, Alice. Okay, so I see some answers coming in here. All right. Honesty, transparency, communication, trust. Excellent. Providing resources. Anything else? Any other key ingredients to making these things work? Making sure youth are not only tokens, but active members, genuine platforms, not just tokenism, creativity. Great. 2 more answers. See if we can get 2 more answers from anybody. Courage, letting youth define their way forward, providing resources. Trust. Okay, great. So here's some of the things that I also came up with as well. For me, it also hangs a lot on the people that are behind here. So it means from the outside and from the inside of the institution. So to have strong advocates on the inside, meaning staff people that want to see this change happen. And it means also strong advocates from, for example, from youth from the outside coming in and pushing the organization to change. It also means that we have to have strong leadership. I just took 3 photos that I had quickly on my computer, but there are so many of the leaders within WF that I think they do really want to see this change happen. From, as I said, from across Africa, Asia, Americas, et cetera, et cetera. But we really need to have also leadership that takes a strong role and says, this is something we want to see and make it happen. You guys mentioned this already, is that we need to make sure that there are different resources. And this can happen in a number of ways. It means it could be internal training, it could be financial support, but it's obviously helpful to have a number of resources. And I think for me, I don't know what you see in here, but in this picture, I see an open door towards opportunity. And so it means that I think, especially an organization like WF has the keys to open doors for youth to get active. So we have obviously established relationships with different United Nations groups, different global opportunities that we can ensure that youth have a seat at the table. So I think that's really important to create opportunities. Here's our friend from the States. And this is also another way that maybe you could see through the European Union. What they did is they set directives. So by framing that funding mechanism, they said, thou shalt engage youth effectively, right? And so we had, or they had, the partners had to include youth. So this can be a very powerful way to shape institutions by saying you have to do it. Of course, an organization has to then actually follow through. And again, this is, I think, this creativity, this innovation, this looking for change and being open to new ideas. So going back to our original question, we started at the very beginning, is I go back to you and ask you, what do you guys think? Do you think that youth can actually change a global institution like WF? Actually, we wanted to do this with a poll, but you can add it in your answers in the chat here. We can see as well. We got 1 yes. We got 2 yeses. We got 2. Can I get a 3? Can I get a 3? Can I get a no? Can I get a maybe? All right. We have a yes, a C. We have a yeppers. Excellent. We have a big yes. All right, good. Yeah, I mean, I guess, as I said, there's a lot of things that can happen. And I think one of it is also being understanding and patient sometimes, because change, as we all know, and it's sometimes frustrating, takes time. But I think that also by establishing these positive relationships and not relenting, I said not giving up is really key. And so I just like to actually leave you guys with a quote that I heard, I think, for the first time in Aya in Alaska, but I changed it just a little bit. So never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed youth can change the world, because indeed it's the only thing that ever has. And with that, I say thank you guys and pass it back over to our GYT team.
Thank you so much, Nate. That was inspiring as hell. Always love your insights. There was a lot I didn't know. Now I need our presentation back. Yes, exactly. Now, let me tell you about the WWF Germany Youth Council. It was founded in late 2019, so not long ago, following a direct request from the trustees and executive board. It is 9 members. The official age range is between 18 and 30 years of age, even though I think our oldest member is 26 years old and our youngest member is 19 years old. That's my humble self. It functions as an advisory body. Sorry, my program is always, yes, it functions as an advisory body. We are in close contact with the executive board and many departments below. It is present in daily business, which is not to say that we are doing this 24/7. We are absolutely not. We're doing this voluntarily, after all. But we are being taken into account in daily business, and that's the important thing. Also, the Youth Council is not to be confused with the WWF Jugend. So WWF Youth, that's German. The WWF Jugend is the official youth organization of WWF Germany. It has been in existence for more than a decade, and they have specialized in communicating WWF topics to a young audience, empowering youth activists, and they are doing a lot of activism themselves all around the country, but that's a different entity. Next slide, please. Yes. As I said, we are closely working together with the executive board, and I would say that they are our most important partner in this. We would have regular meetings every few months, sometimes online, sometimes present. That's the thing with 2020, 2021. And we would talk about hot topics, strategy, changes within the institution, projects to come, and how we will be engaged in this. Then departments, there are a lot of departments within WWF Germany, ranging from oceans to forests to climate to socioeconomic change to whatever. And in order to support the lead groups on the most important of these departments, we have split up into subgroups of 2, and we are attending their meetings on a regular basis and co-working the design and the implementation of actions that WWF Germany is going to take on these various topics. I want to particularly point out the Department of Education, because they are our biggest fan and supporter. They have been with us in this from the beginning on, and they are often helping out with strategies, with communication going in and out. They are great. WWF Jugend. Even though I just told you that that the Youth Council and WWF Jugend are 2 different entities, and we obviously have in common that we both are a result of the same idea, to represent and strengthen the role of youth within WWF and beyond. So naturally, we would stay in contact, work together on things where our ways cross, or where we think is beneficial on certain projects, for example. Sometimes there are opportunities for us to extend our work even beyond Germany. This could be explaining our concept of youth participation at a international sorry, not my native language. Explaining our concept of youth participation at a international WWF meeting, could be lobbying the EU, could be giving an interview, could be deploying spies in the Global Youth Action Team for Biodiversity Protection. All this already happened, and there are a lot of things to come. And from time to time, we also try to engage with various youth organizations and councils all around the country, because youth unite, and we can share our experiences and get to know stories and ideas. Next slide, please. It's basically what we are doing here. Yeah, exactly. These are three things that went fairly well for us in the last couple of months, just as an example. And I would also say these are things that we're kind of proud of. The first thing being our role in the implementation of a new media concept launched by WWF Germany in late 2020. It's called WWF Think. We contributed in terms of giving feedback on the concept itself, on topics to be discussed. And just like this, we turned out to sit in the panel ourselves, and we discussed intergenerational equity and consumption with politicians, activists, a minister of ours, and that was pretty dope. Another thing being that our list of demands on the federal election, which are soon to come in Germany, have been printed in the official list of demands by WWF Germany on the federal election, which is awesome, because it's a sign of appreciation and B, just a great honor. So really like that. And the last thing, something that I think sometimes is forgotten sometimes, just our anchoring within the institution. Could be that we have our own email address with a WWF domain. Could be that we had our own page in the WWF annual report. Could be that we are fully integrated into the communication services used by WWF Germany. These might seem like the little things, but they are crucial in terms of quality of collaboration. So that is great, and that turned out great. Next slide, please. Yes, well, we can do better. Improvements. You are never done improving. We sure do have a lot to improve still after 1.5 years. We sometimes lose track. We have rules of procedure. We have our 3 months plan, which we are going to do also for the next few months, but we don't always follow it. We sometimes tend to get entangled into things that we should not care about, odds and ends, rather than focusing on the bigger picture of what WWF Germany is and will be doing to support a nature and people-friendly future. Secondly, exchange, meaning our communication and exchange with WWF staff, just the frequency and the depth of briefings we get. It works, but there is room for improvement. And last but definitely not least, safety. When I'm saying safety, I'm not talking about, no worries, we're not hunting down poachers or something, which, okay, honestly would be an interesting idea for a youth council, but no, I'm talking about workload. and work-life balance. You see, I already told you that we are doing this as volunteers. And for most of us, that's not the only thing we are engaged in as volunteers. Then we're doing our studies and stuff. And you might not even notice burning out, but that's not to say you won't. So that is definitely something you want and you need to have an eye on. Yes, and that's it from me. The word is yours, Ashish.
Thank you so much, Jamal. Very well inspiring and so many topics that got covered. So I'll give you 1 minute just to stretch on your left, on your right, and jump up if you can. I'm sitting on a bed, so I won't. Okay, so that's got our blood going around in our body much faster. So yes, we'll cover this point for quick Q&A if you have any questions for Jamal at this point of time before we go to the session ahead. So are we clear till this point? Would you have any questions that you would like to direct to Jamal at this point of time?
I think not only questions on what I just
Jamal
showcased,
or
but
Nathan
everything.
or
like everything.
Sarah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so anything that you have questions before this? I see mostly it's all clear to our audience, and I think we should be proud of that. Great. Okay, going ahead.
And we're also gonna have options for Q&A later on still before we end the session. So in case you have some questions, keep them for later on then.
Yes, absolutely.
So well, with help of my friend Jamal, I have put up these slides together and continuing to what our requirement and methods are during the time you are as part of the institution, when you're part of the deal, when you're trying to make a difference. So these are a couple of memes that I found out, viewing them that we'll be tired by the end of it. So just to cover up our topics, these are our highlights. So just to cover, just to take that forward about where Jamal ended was don't work-life balance, which is mostly very important. So the first thing that comes is don't say it if you don't mean it. Like if you think that you have the enough energy to take ahead, and if you think that it's not empowering or not enabling, or do you need more depth in it, I would say do some more research in the points that you want to go ahead in the institution that you're part of, to find those solid points of making those changes and targeting them, and then taking them forward. And youth is always a priority. It might be globally, it might be into various other aspects of life. Youth has shown during our centuries that it is the most, how do I say this, productive part of your years, and that's where you can make more changes. But I don't know, I'm still a youth, I'm still trying to make changes. But continuing to that, make sure that you have enough time to come on board such youth groups, or you take out that space and time that needs to be given. Assess, do an assessment. Do you think that 1 hour is enough, that you have time to spare? And if you do, please, as work balance will come and flow. At starting, it feels like a lot of pressure on you, but over the time, you will be able to manage things. So don't take it as a negative, but as a challenge of managing things and learning as you go ahead. So go big or go home, again, just to make sure that all of this is voluntary concepts. You're trying to make difference as per you, as yourself, as a person. So make sure that you're all in. And even if you think that you might have some hesitant, I wouldn't say back out, but I would say just try to push yourself one step more, and you will probably achieve it. Make sure that your doors are always open to ideas. You know, there might be, I still remember Sarah, Monica, and I, being on a very personal note, I was the quietest of them all. And now I'm being taking this session, speaking up to you. It all comes through the learnings and making sure you're open to the ideas, what people are trying to suggest, even while you're trying to figure out a policy. Each policy might have 50 angles to it, you know. One person may just see it as per a protocol, the other person would see it as a savior or a protector or a guardian to somebody else's thoughts and frenzies. So make sure that you're open to ideas while you're going ahead, especially when we talk about global things. I don't know if you saw the song very carefully, but the idea of that song was to portray the many sides of the world, how we need to be sensitive about small things, coming together and learning from each other. So that counts as one of the best things. And once you open the ideas, you have the ideas, there's lots of networking. So today I can proudly say that I have friends across the globe with the help of GYAT, with the help of youth forums, and I don't have to wait. I can just text them on WhatsApp and be like, okay, hey, what's up? I need this help, or I just need to reach out to you. So your networking becomes very, very, very strong. That's one of the pros about that. And now coming to the institutions is how we cover is. So shaping an institutions and policies will not be easy. You will need to find that loopholes which need to be covered. Like there might be, say, for example, they get you on as a director and they say that you don't have any rights to take any decisions, or you don't have any voting rights, or you don't have any voice, but they bring you on board just to fill in their quota of having you as a youth. So the first thing is you might accept it just to be part of it and slowly growing into it. If you just say no, I want these things and I'm clear of it, if I get it, I'm going to come in, otherwise I don't get in, well, there's where you fail. You've just rejected the opportunity where somebody else would play it smartly. So you get into the organization, you try to understand what are the things which are not letting them be open about things. And that is when the trust fall comes. So one of my experiences I have been a director for one of the youth organization. And again, I used to be that silent person trying to understand what is going on and everything. And over the years, they just know how to do a trust fall on you. They would realize that this person is worth investing their thoughts in. And during those meetings, they would just be like, Ashish, just tell us what your thoughts are, because yes, they are looking for different ideas. People are looking for us to be more efficient. And believe me, we are the youth who looks holistically to everyone. Like the way we can see problems, the way we can address them, those people are still trying to capture, and we already have a list of solutions. So these are a couple of things which you learn, and it will test your patience, and you will have to know the rules. You will always have to play inside the box. If we think that we can, break their code of conduct, we can just go and do an operation, or we stand outside the office with placards. Nothing, that's not going to happen. If you're part of them, you will have to play like them, but you'll have to be smart. And that space will come. You will have to ask for that space in some areas, but that will come eventually. It will test your patience. While you're there, you will not only empower and enable yourself, but 20 other people, because you are more than a statue, you're more than a living person who hundreds of people are thinking that they want to be in your place. So you're not only empowering their ideas, you're also trying to get their ideas into the zone. So now that you've got into the institution that you had been quiet about, now you can bring in ideas of your peers, of your youth, and you can reciprocate. You can be the middle person to cover that bridge from the institution, from what our ideas as youth are. So I would say don't stick to your stick to your ideals and morals, but be a little flexible when it comes to when you get an opportunity to get on board, because for somebody else it would be very hard to understand, but you might get inside and make changes from the inside place itself. Obviously, don't work for free. And even if you're working for free, just make sure your name comes under some report or somewhere. It's not about acknowledgement. It's not about getting a high five or claps. It's about your hard work. Your thoughts and ideas have come in. And somebody who might be just going by that report might know you, and they would just reach out to you directly. So never underestimate no free work kind of thing. It will always help you. It will always help you establish your own how do I call this, personality. So don't worry, you will get much better at those. So now that was it about what how much efforts it takes, what all it incurs while you're there in the position. And once you're there, while people are taking decisions, believe me, it is really hard to interject, but yes, you will get on that board. And before we move on, I have this quick video on Living Planet report that I would like to quickly share with all of you and understand that what all we've been able to miss out and the statistics that we don't know yet about. So WWF every year launches a Living Planet report, which tells us about how much loss we've incurred through the years. So here's a quick snapshot of the video for everyone of us to see.
People can do amazing things. We can use sunbeams to help us travel. We can catch the wind and have it cook our food. Humans could be the smartest creatures that have ever lived on the planet. But because we're human, we can also do stupid things sometimes. When it comes to our relationship with our planet, which provides us with our food, air, and water, we have to admit humans, on the whole, haven't done a great job. To be blunt, we're destroying the natural world that supports us. We know this because we've collected evidence all around the world for years, working with wildlife scientists and researchers using all kinds of monitoring methods. And we've written it all down in here, our Living Planet report. You could think of it as a health check for the planet and a prescription for how to help it recover. We write these reports every couple of years, and the results get more terrifying every time. Here's the shocking new headline from the 2020 report. Since 1970, in just 5 decades, our planet's wildlife populations have plummeted by around 68% in size, which means there's far fewer of many amphibians, reptiles, fish, birds, and mammals. And 68% is just an average. If you look at freshwater creatures, their population sizes have gone down by around 84%. Not surprising, since up to 90% of the world's wetlands have been lost in the past 3 centuries. And when we say lost, what we really mean, more often than not, is destroyed. And if we're honest, people have been central to that destruction. Not intentionally, in most cases, but just by us not thinking about the consequences of our everyday actions. The things we eat, the things we buy, the choices we make. And by big companies who put profit before the planet, exploiting our natural world to get rich quick. And by governments who don't pass strong enough laws to stop it happening. Too many people have been carrying on like nothing is wrong, ignoring the alarm signals the planet has been sending us for years. Ice sheets melting, forests burning, seas rising, extreme weather. Our Living Planet report makes it clear that disaster is not inevitable. We can turn things around. But we need to shout louder about how serious things are. The good news is we can all play a part in helping to fix it. The first thing we need to think about is food and the way it's produced, as this is one of the biggest causes of habitat loss and destruction. We can make a lot more space for nature just by changing how land is used and what we choose to eat. Switching to a planet-friendly, more plant-based diet is the biggest single step forward we can all take. Growing plant crops uses far less land and ends up with far fewer greenhouse gases than producing meat, so we get delicious food and free up space for nature. The climate change emergency affects wildlife as well as people. We can all help cut down greenhouse gas emissions by switching to 100% renewable energy sources, like wind, solar, and wave power, for our homes, workplaces, and transport. And we need to focus on what are called nature-based solutions, where we work with nature rather than against it. A great example of this is planting trees in urban environments to help improve air quality, capture carbon, and support our personal well-being. You can also help us to put pressure on politicians to pass better, stronger nature laws to make sure essential changes happen fast enough and will stick. As the world rebuilds from coronavirus, we need to invest in nature. economic recovery without protecting the planet isn't a recovery at all. As our Living Planet report points out, the world needs to change direction, fast. We've got to bend that downward curve back up. We can reset our relationship with the natural world by putting nature at the heart of all our decisions. Working together, it's absolutely fixable. It's going to take all our ingenuity and energy, but if we pull it off, it will be the greatest human achievement ever.
Yeah, now can you hear me? Okay, so that was just a sharing about where we are at this point of time and what all we can bring to make changes. And coming to that, can you guess who these two people are? Yep. Can you put them in the chat box? Yes, we'll share Leah Perez. We will share the link for the video. But before we go ahead, can you guys let us know? Yes, Malala Yousafzai and Greta Thunberg, as very well cited by Rain. And why would I bring these two here is that you can be the next person who brings the change. And this is just the very starting, and you've seen the how positivity from negative and how the report tells us that we can bend the curve again. And this is you. All of you who are there with us today, this evening, is that we can make a change. And one of those things carrying forward is one screenshot that I was going through was meet 10 leaders who can inspire you to change the world. And these leaders are chosen from United Nations, whom all of us very proudly look up to. And one of these things that these people had in common was very simple things. They were community leaders. They knew what they were speaking. They knew the sources. They knew that the information that they were giving was factually correct and wasn't some rumor taken off to a bigger Twitter or an Instagram handle. And the third thing that they all covered was support. So these are the major three things that require you. First is to just be a simple human being and care about the planet. Second is be a community leader. Make sure you check your facts before passing them on. And support. It doesn't matter, do you work in a community, you work in an office, you work in a college. The tiniest support you can do from your end makes a huger impact. So never step away from making any small action. And one of the examples of making small actions into a biggest campaign ever, one of the biggest campaigns ever, is right here. Just a second, I'll share my screen. Another quick video, and that will get us to the end of our session after this. So yes, this shows a perfect example of, taking all those tiny steps, the minimum you could do, and the largest impact you could have. So here you go.
Hi, I'm Felicity. I'm Ewan.
I'm Ashley. I'm Weeby.
I'm Dimple. And I'm speaking up for biodiversity. For our forests.
Rivers and ocean. For healthy soil.
On clean air.
Walking through the shadows, out here in the night. Just need some hope for tomorrow. We will be fine. In the middle of the valley, when you're looking for light, I'm right behind you, I'm with you, time after time. I got you through and through. Cover me, I'll cover you. I'm staying by your side.
We can't physically be together shoulder to shoulder, but we are together screen to screen.
When we all unite, we can overcome the most difficult of challenges.
We are in this together.
Estamos en esto juntos.
Và cùng nhau, chúng ta có thể làm được.
This is the time to speak up for nature and show we care.
守护地球，一起更美更好。
Earth Hour has been a moment for millions of people to come together.
Taiwan and Auckland in New Zealand und Sydney in Australia.
首次开启线上互动仪式。
Join me and millions around the world.
与全世界一起关灯，支持 Earth Hour.
Earth Hour. Earth Hour. I'm switching off for Earth Hour because I think our planet is worth fighting for.
Change starts with us.
And it doesn't matter how small the thing you're doing.
If we can all make small steps in our daily lives, it all adds up to make a big difference.
The COVID-19 pandemic has taught us new ways to work together and support one another. As we emerge from this challenging health, social, and economic crisis, it is important that we continue to work together to face the planet's climate and nature crisis.
Together in this, together we're strong and never alone.
Let us all put our hearts to the health of nature, and we must act now.
Common solution.
Working together, strongly support
nuestro planeta.
humanity's impact
Now
on
is
the
the
planet.
time to act.
Join us on the 27th of March at 8:30 p.m. for Earth Hour and Speak Up for Nature.
Connect to Earth. It is our only home and we are all in this together.
Happy Earth Hour.
Happy Earth Hour.
So hi everyone, this was a classical example of just switching off your lights and making it a huge, huge, huge campaign. Ultra-wide, it might have been COVID, it might have been other things, but the message just went across. And mostly if you saw the people in the video were the youth. So again, emphasizing on how important your role is. It doesn't matter which position you are in or what you're trying to achieve, but the smallest effort that you do today towards the biodiversity, towards conservation will be counted, is counted, and helps the biodiversity in conservation. So yes, this brings my session to the end to empower you all to make sure that you take this ahead with your institution to make that difference and take it ahead globally. So just putting up the slides for this evening. And yes, I do have one more slide, and here it goes. So we're just sharing couple of very few names of what all we've been. We are the GY80, we work with WWF, Generation Earth, Global Youth for Biodiversity Network, and Youth, Monica, correct me if I'm wrong, Youth
for Our Planet.
Youth for Our Planet. So yes, and Scouts and more organizations that we are involved with. So if you think that you want to take that step ahead, because in the documents that I read and in my breakout room, the only thing that came out was the lack of support. And this is what we are, your support system, your pillars that we want to connect, raise your voices to the people who will make a difference. And we want you to get connected to us or take your mission forward. Either way, it doesn't matter your mission or my mission, it's our mission at the end of the day, and taking it forward together is possible. So if you have any questions or if you have motives to take these questions forward, or you need any help, we are there for you. GY80 team is there for you, and we will guide you through that. So you can always connect us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. These are our handles, and we would love to get your feedback, and just kindly scan this QR code and your feedback will come right to us. So that brings us to the end of session, and this is the Q&A section. If you would like to share anything or anything that brings up to your mind.
Just a side note here. Obviously, we're over time. If you would like to stay for a Q&A, have some questions, you are welcome to. No one is forcing you to stay here. We are so grateful that you attended this session. We had a lot of fun. I hope you also, just as a side note.
Maybe we can also again share the link for the feedback form, because the Q&A code was only there for a very short time.
Right away, right away.
Yes, absolutely.
Rainbellow, cool, you liked our session. What was the thing you liked most about it?
And there is a part in the feedback form where you can put this if you like. Yes.
The breakout sessions, always good. Laia, what did you like about the session? We get answers in the chat. Innocent, you have joined the other session on Thursday. Now you joined again. Really cool to see you again. The Mentimeter and the Can Youth Change International Institutions? Nate, that's feedback for you. Rainbellow liked that.
And I hope the breakout rooms were okay for everyone, because I know sometimes it's kind of weird being in a breakout room with 4 people you've never met in your life. But honestly, I always get something out of it. Because as I told you, there are always inspiring stories, new ideas, everything is new, a little bit scary, but new.
Cool. Yeah, cool. So thanks for your feedback, guys. You can again share your feedback as well in the forum. And then I guess we will close the session. And thanks a lot for having been with us. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for being here. Nice to meeting you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for the invitation. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Are you guys staying on for a bit or just dropping now too?